What if I told you there's a cheese in Italy that literally moves on your plate? Not because it's fresh, not because it's hot, but because it's alive. Sounds like something from a horror movie, right? Well, for some people, it's actually a delicacy. When we think about Italian cuisine, most of us picture the classics: comforting pasta, crispy pizza, maybe a creamy risotto or a perfect tiramisu. Italian food feels familiar, warm, safe. But Italian cuisine has another side, one that doesn't usually make it onto restaurant menus or travel brochures, because hidden away on the island of Sardinia is a dish that challenges not just your taste, but your bravery. It's called Casu Marzu. And yes, it's exactly as unusual as it sounds. What is Casu Marzu? Casu Marzu is often translated as rotten cheese. Not the most appetizing name, admittedly, but it's honest. It starts out like a typical sheep's milk cheese, similar to pecorino. So far, nothing surprising. But then comes the part where things take a very different turn. The cheese is intentionally exposed to a specific type of fly, which lays eggs inside it. When the larvae hatch, they begin breaking down the fats in the cheese, transforming its texture into something incredibly soft and creamy. And by creamy, we mean alive. Yes, the larvae remain inside the cheese when it's eaten. At this point, you're either intrigued or suddenly not hungry anymore. As strange as it might seem today, Casu Marzu didn't start as a dare or a gimmick. Like many traditional foods, it likely began by accident. In Sardinia, sheep farming has been a way of life for centuries. Cheesemaking was essential, a practical way to preserve milk and make it last. At some point, cheese left exposed to the environment attracted flies. Instead of throwing it away, people noticed something interesting. The texture changed, the flavor intensified, and the result was surprisingly enjoyable. Or at least enjoyable enough to try again. Over time, this accidental discovery became intentional. What began as improvisation turned into tradition. For many Sardinians, Casu Marzu isn't shocking at all. It's cultural. It's often shared during special occasions, like weddings or gatherings, where food plays a central role in bringing people together. Offering it can even be seen as a gesture of respect. Traditionally, it's spread on flatbread and paired with a strong red wine, which helps balance its intense flavor. And while outsiders might hesitate, locals tend to see it differently. To them, it's not extreme, it's familiar. That said, even among locals, it's not exactly an everyday snack. As you can probably imagine, Casu Marzu hasn't had the easiest relationship with modern food regulations. Health authorities raised concerns about safety, mainly because the cheese contains live larvae. From a regulatory point of view, that's complicated. As a result, the European Union banned its commercial sale. But tradition doesn't disappear just because it becomes illegal. In Sardinia, Casu Marzu never really went away. It simply became more discreet, continuing to exist within local communities and small-scale production. For many people, the ban felt less like protection and more like a misunderstanding of cultural heritage. Today, Casu Marzu lives in a strange space between legend and reality. Officially, it's restricted. Unofficially, it's still very much around, and still moving. Around the world, it has gained a reputation as one of the most extreme foods you can try. It often appears on craziest foods lists, attracting curious travelers and adventurous eaters. For some, it's about the thrill. For others, it's about tradition. A matter of Casu Marzu. Casu Marzu raises a simple but interesting question. What makes food normal? Because around the world, people eat things that might seem unusual to someone else. Fermented dishes, insects, strong cheeses. It all depends on where you grew up and what you're used to. Casu Marzu just happens to sit at the far end of that spectrum. So next time you think of Italian cuisine, remember, it's more than just pizza and pasta. It's a world full of history, tradition, and the occasional surprise. And somewhere in Sardinia, there's a cheese that continues to challenge expectations, spark debate, and test the limits of curiosity. Casu Marzu isn't just about taste, it's about culture, it's about tradition, and maybe just a little bit about courage.